सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mata, all glories to Guru Deva, glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Nitai Gauranga.
Hare Krishna, you're welcome so much. Hare Krishna.
I love that backdrop.
Yes, I keep making more and more money.
Yes, I see.
So I keep changing houses.
Beautiful.
Hare Krishna Mother, you're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Sadika Prabhuji, Nitai Gauranga, Hari Hari. Thank you so
Hare
very
Krishna.
much.
Hare
Krishna.
Yeah, it's nice to be with the
Sir Deva has become so rich. He's
I
buying
see.
properties all over the world.
Yeah, I love that. I love that temple.
Hare Krishna. So, whether we'll put the verse on the screen and we may start.
Okay.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
So, okay, you're putting the verse on.
Yes.
Hari Hari Jai. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, text number 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So text 6. Yashya shana viyogena loko hiya priyadashanaha utena rahito hish esha mritaka projate yataha. Srila Prabhupada's word for word. Yashya, whose, shana, a moment, viyogena, by separation, lokaha, all the universes, he, certainly, apriyadashanaha, everything appears unfavorable, uktena, by life, rahitaha, being devoid of, he, certainly, eshaha, all these bodies, mritakaha, dead bodies, prochyate, are designated, yata, as it were. Srila Prabhupada's translation. I have just lost him whose separation for a moment will render all the universes unfavorable and void, like bodies without life. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Factually, for a living being, there is no one dearer than the Lord. The Lord expands himself by innumerable parts and parcels as Swamsa and Vibhanamsa. Paramatma is the Swamsa part of the Lord, whereas the Vibhanansa part are the living beings. As the living being is the important factor in the material body, for without the living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, without Paramatma for the living being, similarly, without Paramatma, the living being has no status quo. Similarly, Similarly, Brahman or Paramatma has no local standing without the Supreme Lord Krishna. This is thoroughly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. They are all interlinked with one another or interdependent factors. Thus, in the ultimate issue, the Lord is the summum bonum and therefore the vital principle of everything. Om Agana Timirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Jakshu Amalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Taparakamalam Shri Gurum Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Saptadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Rubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the translation again, my dear friends, I have just lost him, whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void, like bodies without life. So, firstly, I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm really grateful for those of you that showed up to be with us to hear about Arjuna speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. What is beautiful about the SRIMAD Bhagavatam are the conversations. And even from the very beginning of the first canto, you know, there's conversations going on. And especially the conversation between Narada Muni and Srila Vyasadeva. Those conversations kind of gives us a little bit of a taste of what's to come in SRIMAD Bhagavatam. And so as we continue reading, we hear all these different pastimes of people that are devotees. Those are aspiring to be devotees, those are not devotees. And all these conversations are going on to enlighten us and really to purify us, to help us in this process of Krishna Bhakti. And so a couple of things I thought about, I reflected on when I read this verse last night. And couples of the words, of the Sanskrit words really stood out for me. That viyogena, the literal translation is by separation. So this word separation has different meanings for the materialists and for those that are aspiring in Krishna Bhakti. For the materialists, separation means something, and this appears also in the verse, apriya darshanaha. Everything appears unfavorable. For the materialists, when there's separation, everything appears unfavorable for them. Everything appears unfavorable because for whatever the reasons are, whatever they may have experienced, whether it's a loss of some sort or whether it's something that they wanted to go a certain way and it didn't go the way they wanted, or whether it's just the mind just going into all the innumerable different spaces that a mind can go with the innumerable thoughts that we have every day. I believe every single day we have something like 432,000 thoughts in a day. And so the mind can take us to any of those thoughts at any time in the course of a day. So for the materialist, this word separation means it's about me. It's I, me, mine. However, for the devotee, the separation has a totally different meaning. And so we see here in this verse, Arjuna is sharing with Yudhishthira this mood of separation from his friend, the person that he spent so much of his life with, the person that he adored, the person that has taught him so many lessons, the person that he understands is not just a regular person. Even though this person took this very humble role with Arjuna of being a charioteer in the war. You know, Arjuna could have had many charioteers, you know, he's a great warrior. So he could have gotten anybody to drive his chariot. Somehow he got Krishna, not somehow, but however, by this beautiful arrangement that Krishna made to teach us, he got Krishna as his charioteer. And so as a charioteer, you know, somebody driving the chariot, he was like kind of an ordinary person in the bigger view of things, in the bigger view of the war. Somebody driving a chariot is not as important as the person that's fighting in the war. Certainly not as important as the person that's commanding the war. Certainly not as important as the person that is having a vision for how the war is supposed to go. So he's playing that role, Krishna. And yet you see Arjuna, he's having this mood of separation, this mood that he's speaking these words here in this purport that in the translation, that the universe appears void, right? And it's just like, just imagine that kind of separation. So how do we understand the separation from a Krishna Bhakti perspective? This kind of separation where it appears that Arjuna is lamenting. It appears that he is really just kind of beside himself. He can't even, it's so vast, this so deep, this lamentation, that he can't even imagine, you know, being alive. Because he's saying universes would be void, everything would be void. So how do we understand this? You know, I mean, it's difficult because I can speak for myself. I'm a conditioned soul in the process of getting purified in the Krishna Bhakti process. And so whatever separation I have experienced, I'm certain that separation, whether it be for my spiritual master or whether it had been for my dear friend, Bali Maharaj, most recently, whatever those separations that I had felt, there was a void for sure. And definitely there was a lot of sadness. And definitely there was this mood of why you kind of feeling sad that these persons had to leave this planet. Of course, because I'm a conditioned soul and I'm in, like I said, getting purified. Some of that was related to me. Some of that was related to how can I go on without these persons in my life? What is life going to look like? And so Arjuna, he's kind of showing us some of these same kind of emotions. However, it's different because his emotions are fully tinged with love for Krishna, fully. All of the emotions that he's experiencing and he's expressing for us is simply because of love for the Lord. And the acharyas, they express like that. The acharyas, they say that this kind of separation, this kind of expression of feelings, this kind of emotions, which in the material world, we don't understand so much. We don't understand, at least I don't always understand this kind of feelings. Certainly I understand feelings from a conditioned perspective. Of course I do. I understand that. And I know that those feelings that I might have from a material perspective are mixed. It's mixed. It's mixed with, yes, I understand, theoretically, spiritually, that these personalities that maybe I have passed in my journey, they have passed in my life, I have passed in their lives. That kind of separation is a separation that has some love, but however, to the degree that I am experiencing purity, to that degree, it will be pure, absolutely pure. And I can speak for myself because I'm in the process of purification. It's not fully pure. So it's tinged with something that I wanted for myself. However, for Arjuna, his mood of expressing this separation, according to the acharyas, is the mood that we all want to have. That separation is the best mood to have to serve Krishna, to serve the Lord, to experience this mood of separation. However, again, it's important to understand this mood of pure love, this mood of experiencing this separation from a place where it's simply an expression of missing this person, and reflecting on some of the activities with this person. However, it's in pure love for that person, pure, nothing tinged, nothing personal for Arjuna, in the sense of, oh, he's leaving me behind, I don't know what I'm going to do. Although Arjuna expressed some of that, but still, we can understand that he knows, because he's pure, that Krishna is going to be there for him. He understands that Krishna is his only shelter. That's the point that Prabhupada is emphasizing in this verse, how Krishna at the end of the day is our only shelter. And at the end of the day, whether we experience emotions that are mixed or whether we're experiencing pure emotions, the understanding is, my dear Lord, you are my shelter. You are my shelter. And so we aspire, because the acharyas, they tell us like that, to develop this mood of separation. Even though we know that in the material world, when we have some separation, it's usually because of a loss of something that has value to us. Something, maybe a person, like, somebody's gone, somebody leaves. We have lost even over things, right? We don't always think about that, but we have sometimes we have losses over things that maybe we have become attached to in our lives, and it gets taken away. Or we have loss over people not being the way that we think that that we think they're supposed to be. We have expectations of how we would like people to be. And then when they don't show up the way we think that they should be, that's a loss. And so we experience some sadness because of that loss. There's some emotion that will be there. So Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport, in this verse, after Arjuna expresses this deep love lamentation for the Lord, then Prabhupada says there is no one that everyone understands how dear Krishna is. Everyone understands that. I think the verse, I don't have the verse in front of me, but I think that verse was saying something like, the first point on that verse was saying something like, everyone is, let's see, factually, for every living being, there is no one dearer than the Lord. There's no one dearer to them than the Lord. And so we may question this point that Prabhupada makes. So factually, every living being, there's no one more dearer than the Lord. Yet we know that there are atheistic people, and we know that there are people in this world that, for them, they're living entities. For them, the Lord is not necessarily the most dear to them. And they may not be aware. So this is the point, that every living entity, and Prabhupada makes this point, which is, he goes on to say that every living entity as Viva Namsa, which is us, we, the living entity, Viva Namsa, And then the Paramatma, Swamsa, is the Lord within the heart, right? So Paramatma, Swamsa, the Lord within the heart, the Lord that is with us, the Lord that is the witness, the Lord that is the permitter in every living entity, that Lord within the heart of the living entities within us, that Lord is always overseeing what is happening with us, what is going on, what are we doing, what are we thinking, how are we going to act? The Lord is always there and always conscious, always aware of our every activities. So Prabhupada goes on to explain that every living entity, because Paramatma is there, Krishna is dear to those persons, even though they may not be aware. And this is where the bhakti process comes in. The bhakti process comes to help us to become aware of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within our hearts, and also to be able to be aware of the Lord everywhere, not just within our hearts, but the Lord is in every single atom. Krishna is explained in the 10th canto that Krishna expands into so many forms. Some of these expansions are personal and some are separated expansions. And Krishna performs so many different kinds of pastimes in both. Krishna performs pastimes in both the spiritual and the material world. And so the Lord, we understand, is with the living entities as Paramatma. And it's important, that for us, we may ask, well, how come Prabhupada starts out here talking about how dear Krishna is to everyone? And then he gives this very big philosophical explanation of Swamsa and Vinamsa. How is Prabhupada pulling this together to bring us to this focus of Arjuna's lamentation? Well, what I understand from this verse that Prabhupada is doing is helping us to understand who Krishna really is, how vast Krishna is. And, in my limited understanding, I may not get a grasp of that. Because in my limited understanding, I might just know, Krishna is God, and I know he performs all these wonderful pastimes. And, I'm attracted because firstly, because I might read some things about Krishna and I can hear of these beautiful qualities of the Lord. And so I have some attraction, and because I'm engaged in the process, however, I may not have knowledge about all these little intricate details. And so Prabhupada, he gives us a little snippet, like a little bit of like some little things to expand our consciousness, expand our minds. And he's saying to us, okay, so you're Vivanamsa, you are these living entities that you are minute in some ways. However, you do have qualities of the Lord. And then there is that Lord that's within you. And then, the Lord is expanding himself in all different kinds of ways, different kinds of forms. And the Lord is everywhere. And not only that, the Lord is everywhere. The Lord is in everything, every living thing, everything, anything we could think about. Krishna is there. And at the same time, the Lord is in his abode with his associates. And so he's helping us to understand the vastness of Krishna, and also how Arjuna, who Krishna appeared as his friend, just simply his friend, and how this experience that Arjuna is having for this amazing person that I don't always understand, and how that the depth of those emotions that Arjuna is experiencing. So he's saying that this depth of emotion, Arjuna is expressing that every living entity has some emotion for the Lord. Every living entity is having some affection, which is an emotion for the Lord. However, the living entity might not be aware because we're covered. Yes, we're conditioned souls in the material world, and therefore we may not be aware of that affection that we all have for the Lord. So even the atheists, those that are professing atheism, or even the impersonalists that's professing oneness. There is also some affection for the Lord that will get realized as, of course, they keep on pursuing path of self-realization, of trying to understand more about who they are and who they are. Even the impersonalists, even when they go to, they end up going to Brahmaloka, when they end up going to the Brahmajyoti, at some point they'll come back into the material realm or go back to some other planet, some other universe, and they will get another opportunity to understand more about the Lord. And I can share that from my own personal experience. When I was in college, I became very attracted to an impersonalist guru, and I had a lot of training from that impersonalist guru, and my mantra was, "I'm God, you're God, we're all God." That was my mantra for actually all my college years, most of my college years. And it just seemed to me like that was normal, that I didn't have questions about the fact that I was God. I didn't think that I was God in the sense of an unlimited person. However, I was trained to understand that I could do things, that I had the ability to make choices, to do things that were God-like, and that I had the ability to not. I was told that I wasn't limited. I wasn't limited by space and time, and so, and there was a peace element to that training, to that way of living. There was a peace element of understanding that everything in the world is actually shanti. Everything is peaceful. It's that people make it unpeaceful. So we were trained to develop our minds to see the peace in the world and to view everything with peace in the world. And so for many years, I was like that, until one day I met a devotee, which was very interesting. I met a devotee of the Lord. And this is called our Vartman Production Guru. And so for me, that Vartman Production Guru is the person that brought me to Krishna consciousness. That's the person that I ended up coming to Africa with, coming and learning. This was the final message in the Matrix. Okay, yes, everything is coming from the Lord. And so, yes, I was introduced to a devotee. And so then the devotee didn't really, say anything about the fact that I had an impersonalist view. The devotee wasn't proselytizing Krishna consciousness. All the devotee did was, that person knew, which was a Kindra Prabhu. He knew that I was a vegetarian. He knew that I was into the shanti, shanti, shanti. And he knew that, everything is God, I'm God, you're God. He knew that. And he said, I just want to introduce you to a restaurant. I just want to, you're a vegetarian. I want to take you to a vegetarian restaurant. And so he took me to a vegetarian restaurant. And that happened to be Govinda's in New York City. And I started honoring Prasadam. And that was it. It wasn't nothing, about anything about personalist God or, Krishna Bhakti or any of that. It was just simply having prasadam and seeing the devotees and seeing them and seeing that, oh, these people seem so sincere. They seem very dedicated to what they're doing. And because I had knowledge of Eastern philosophy, Eastern thoughts, I thought, this is very wonderful to see people like this that's not coming from my tradition, my path. That was the attraction, is the beauty of the Vaishnavas and the sincerity and the desire that I saw in those Vaishnavas to serve. They had such deep desire to be of service. And that was attractive to me, very attractive. And that was what actually pulled me out of my impersonalist, which was really a struggle. I struggled to become a personalist. I can say that. So Krishna now, so Srila Prabhupada is helping us to understand these kind of expanded parts of our philosophy. That yes, you are this living entity. The Lord is there within your heart, and the Lord is everywhere. And now look, listen, this person, Arjuna, is like lamenting for this person. So then now you got to come back to, wait, what? There's this person in my heart, there's, this amazing conception of this God being everywhere, Lord is everywhere. And here's this person just sad, like anything, not able to function because of experiencing this loss, So loss is a great purifier in our lives. In the material world, having experienced loss is a way that we can realize this understanding of Swamsa, Paramatma, and the Lord, the ultimate Param Brahman, the ultimate understanding of who the Lord is. By experiencing loss in the material world, we actually, at some point, we have two choices. Either we revert back to those things that we did prior to experiencing the loss, which Arjuna could have done, right? He could have just gone back to just being this warrior person that he was. And we'll hear in the future verses how he even lost that. He couldn't even be that. Or we can use it as an impetus for us to really dive deeper into wanting to understand more about Krishna consciousness, more about this path that we have chosen in our lives. And so when we see loss as love, then that gives us a whole different approach to understanding the Lord. And then Paramatma gives us then intelligence in the heart, how to approach these losses, how to really make these losses a part of our growth, how to use these losses as opportunities. So in these, we hear in this verse, in the purport, Prabhupada says, the Lord expands himself, going back to him helping us to understand this philosophy. The Lord expands himself by innumerable parts and parcels. And so we read this some time ago in the first canto, in the third chapter, when we were originally reading the beginning of these beautiful narrations of the Lord. There's a verse there that says all the list of the incarnations that we know that are given to us, that's going to be given to us. They're simply just expansions, all these expansions of the Supreme Godhead. So these different expansions that Krishna is talking about, that Prabhupada is talking about, the Paramatma in the heart. This is a Vishnu expansion, Kishore Vishnu, within the heart. However, what is important is to know, which is what the whole Bhagavatam teaches us, which is what Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches us, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, that is the knowledge for us to take away, and that is what Arjuna is teaching us by his lamentation with loss. He's teaching us ultimately this person that was the charioteer, that was playing such an insignificant servant role. This person is making me think, he's making Arjuna think that all these universes are just null and void, nothing, there's nothing, absolutely nothing. And for those of you that have experienced losses in this world, I am guessing that we've had a taste or a little snip of what that feeling could be like, what that emotion could be like. And in the, who's this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives us a real beautiful understanding of this emotion, right? Because these expansions, especially the Kshira Vishnu within the heart, is the expansion of the Lord that is giving us this opportunity, to understand these this emotion and to understand why Krishna, why is it that we as living entities are dear, see Krishna as most dear? Why do we see Krishna as most dear? And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shiksham, in the Shikshastakam prayers, in the seventh, I believe it's the seventh verse, Yugaitam Namishena, Chakshusha Parisharitam. And I believe that translation is Lord Chaitanya himself is expressing this. So this is Krishna himself in this form. It's Lord Chaitanya, and we know this. I don't want to speak this to the choir. That he's praying to the Lord. He's praying to Govinda. He's saying, oh Govinda, feeling your separation. I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. This is the mood of those personalities that have come to teach us how to experience loss. Loss that is filled with love. Yeah, thank you, Sahab. Wow, this is beautiful. Loss that makes us understand that it's like a coin. On one side of that coin, yes, there's sadness. On one side of that coin, yes, there's grief. However, on the other side of that same coin is love and appreciation and just inspiration for what is possible, what's going to be possible. Because now we get an opportunity to understand more about this person that we love so much. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's being that example, teaching us like this. This is the experience. This is the experience to have. And then in the next verse, in the last verse, I think, the 8th verse, if you could pull that up. This last verse. This is the one for us to really imbibe in our hearts. And Paramatma, the Lord in the heart, has given us, opportunities to really reflect on these verses by bringing us in the association of the devotees, by giving us an opportunity to have a spiritual master, by taking us out of the different modes that we might have been in material life, and saying, here, Lord Chaitanya is placing this to us. And he says, this is the mood to develop. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, right? Ashlishava padam ratam pinastumam adarshana mamam hata karutuva yata tata vavirato lampato mat prananatastusa eva naparha. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord. And he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything. For he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. This is Lord Chaitanya praying like this. This is Krishna himself, came as a devotee to teach us to develop the kind of attitude that makes us servants of the Lord. And so he's saying, there's nobody, I know nobody, only Krishna is my Lord. And this point, whether he handles me roughly by his embrace, and Lord knows so many of us are handled roughly by the Lord, isn't it? Oh, we think that. Actually, Krishna, everything he does is to lovingly bring us closer. But sometimes we think, Krishna, why are you doing this? Why is this happening to me? It appears that it's really rough. And sometimes the Lord makes us brokenhearted because sometimes the Lord, we might not be able to see the Lord in the activities that's going on around us. We may think, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Those persons that have personal conversations with the Lord and they're experiencing something that's making them brokenhearted, they will cry out, where is Krishna? Krishna, where are you in all of this that's going on in my life? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, but you know, my Lord, you are free to do anything and everything. If you want me to be brokenhearted, if you want to handle me roughly, whatever it is that you want to do, you are my worshipful Lord. You have arranged this for me, for in our case, for our purification, whatever it is that the Lord seemingly is doing, that we might think that the Lord is doing that's not loving. The Lord is always loving. The Lord is about love. And that's what separation is. That's why the acharyas tell us that separation is the highest, Vipalamba Bhav. The highest experience we can have is to feel that separation. That separation just connects us in such a deep way to the personality of Godhead. So although we know, we understand, yes, we understand as conditioned souls. And here, this is the reason Prabhupada brings in the living entities. He brings in the Paramatma to help us to understand, yes, as living entities, remember that, you know, we're in this material world. However, he also lets us know that Paramatma is there guiding us always. And we always have choices. We can always make choices. And the worst thing that can happen ever in this material world is to experience separation. And the best thing that can happen ever in this material world is to experience separation and love. That's the best thing. And yet it seems so difficult for us because we see it as the worst thing. And that's because it's based on our own desire. It's based on what we want, not how the Lord is choosing to give us realizations, not how the Lord is choosing to bring our awareness, to open our awareness, to experience deeper love. We sometimes don't like that. We sometimes don't understand it. And that is why the association of the devotees is so very important. You know, devotees, I remember one devotee that's left his body, that we had his association, Sarachar Das, Sarachar Prabhu. He used to always say to us, he says, you know, when he was experiencing some brokenhearted times, he would say, devotees, they're like, it's like we're like dirty potatoes. We're all put in a tub with water, and somebody's there just stirring this tub of water with these dirty potatoes. He said, and sometimes it just don't feel good to be getting clean. Just doesn't feel good. And so, you know, because yes, we get bumped. We get so many things, right, in that muddy pool. And we sometimes get annoyed and frustrated and disappointed. And these are all emotions. These are all within that gap of experiencing pure love. There's these emotions. And these emotions are really beautiful because these emotions will actually bring us to that ultimate emotion of love for the Lord. That's why Krishna has given us so many parts, and that's why he expands in so many ways, so that we can experience all these different kinds of emotions. Even the impersonalists, they can't deal with the emotions. It's just too much. So they say, we just want peace. We just want peace. We can't handle the frustrations and the anxieties and the disturbances that are in this world. Just take me to a place where it's just like Shanti, 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 you know? And so I remember when I started really then associating with the devotees, and I also started seeing different things in our devotee association. I was like, where's the Shanti? Where's the peace? However, everything that's arranged for us is arranged, you know, to give us this view, this connection, this real connection with the Supreme Lord. And the one thing that's placed in this material world for us is sufferings and miseries and ways that we will feel disappointed and hurt and we will feel frustrated. And as I said, we'll feel disappointed, and we'll feel anger, and we'll feel all these different emotions. And these emotions, they're always coming and they're always going. They are always reminding us, somehow they will keep reminding us until we come to this place where we say, Krishna, you are my only shelter. You are my only shelter. And this is why at the end of this verse, Prabhupada, he says something like, he tells us about the Paramatma, and he tells us about us as living entities. And he gives us some idea about, how we're interconnected, the living entities and the Paramatma. But then at the end of the day, he says to us from this verse of the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karna Karnam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme, because none can excel him. He's a supreme person, and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. This is the Lord. This is the impersonalists. They have realizations. They have chit, and they are eternal in the sense that they stay in the Brahmajyoti for a long time. In that sense, they're spiritual beings. Those persons that practice impersonalism, they're also spiritual beings. They're also eternal. They also have chit. They had so much knowledge. I had so much knowledge when I came. It was all knowledge based on the foundation that I'm God. And there was no ananda. There was no bliss. There was no real bliss, because the bliss was only about peace. And there's so much more bliss besides peace. And we can only learn that through Krishna Bhakti. And that's what this verse is reminding us. As living entities, as Vivanamsa, we have that opportunity to understand this bliss that comes, that only the Lord can give to us. And so Arjuna is experiencing this bliss in the form of lamentation. These days, I experience when I cry, I often go to my spiritual master, and I sit with my spiritual master for like 10 minutes sometimes, and I just cry, because I miss my spiritual master very much, even after 17 years. But the tears I notice are different. It's the tears of gratitude, it's tears of joy, of him helping me to still try to be a devotee. It's tears of recently, I was just thanking him that Krishna, Gurudev, you brought me to Africa at a time when that was my desire. I wanted so much to be there. And you gave me an opportunity to, connect with so many beautiful, beautiful souls. And now you're still giving me that opportunity. And, and now that opportunity is sweet. It's so sweet. And so my tears are tears of joy, of gratitude, like I said, of thank you, Guru Maharaj. Your help, even in your absence, you continue to show me the bliss of Krishna consciousness. You continue to show me the joy, even when I'm lamenting about different situations that might be going on in my life. There's joy there. And the spiritual master is always there to assist us with that, always. And so Krishna, in this verse again, getting back to this verse, Krishna never really leaves Arjuna, as we know. However, it appears that he's leaving him at this time to give him an opportunity to develop more love for him, more love. So that's the purpose of lamentation, is so we can become more loving. And when we experience lamentation, especially in the conditioned state, the state that we're getting purified, then just check and see, what did I lose that was important to me? What was it that I thought was important to me that I lost? And Krishna, you took that away. There's some reason that got taken away, whatever it might be, whatever. Sometimes it's, we have losses over all kinds of things in this world. It's filled with different kinds of losses, not just based on losses of human beings. So we question, ourselves. We go back within ourselves because Paramatma is there. The Lord in the heart will actually help us and guide us and reveal to us what is it that we might have some attachment to, that we might need to let go of. And the Lord is there to help us to let go of that. And we may need to experience that lamentation. That's important in the growing process of bhakti. We have these great devotees teaching us that. Of course, they're teaching us that for lamenting for Krishna. However, in our stage, we may want to experience, we need to experience lamentation for those things that we are connected to in this world, and to know that those things, whatever they may be, they're also connected with Krishna, whatever they may be, however we may experience them in our lives. So, my dear devotees, this is I think this was a verse for me to always kind of check in with my lamentations, because as I said, when I read this verse and I was thinking, Prabhupada is taking us, on this little, seemingly like appeared to me in the beginning, a little bit of a diversion. And then I thought, no, it's not really a diversion, because he's reminding us of the living entities. Okay, Viva Namsa, you are beyond birth and death because you're a spirit soul, you're not the body, right? In my words, in the Bhagavad Gita, you're compared to like birds on a tree, right? These two birds. There's the soul, there's the Lord in the heart, and there's you. And so this body, he's saying, okay, that's not who you are, right? In this verse, you're not that. You're not the body. You're the spirit soul. You're eternal also. You're connected to Krishna. And I am even there to help remind you about that. However, you have some defects, and you got to deal with those defects. Those defects are there with you in the material world. As long as you're looking for pleasure, as long as you want pleasure, as long as you want to enjoy separate from me, as long as you want to think that other people can fill you up more than I can, then hey, go ahead, you can do that. And he said, and he's explaining to us that we can always fall into this material way of thinking all the time. Even when we're practicing bhakti, we can fall back into wanting to, make our life around people and situations in this world. But if we can remember, all the people and all the things that come in our lives is simply to help us to remember to love Krishna. That's the whole purpose. And so sometimes we get so caught up in all of the things that goes on, and we forget. Okay, Krishna, how am I to develop love for you in this? Help me with that. And most of the time, that all that means is, taking shelter of those that remind us about that. Usually that's all it takes, is to find either in our scriptures or just engaging in devotional service, calling on the Lord's holy name, hearing and chanting, as the devotees do in Ghana and Nigeria and all over the world. Every day, devotees are hearing and chanting. Sometimes I think about Sahadev and I think, Saha, you are getting millions and millions and millions of devotional gems just by sitting in a seat and bringing all those devotees that you get an opportunity to hear from, those devotees, those disciples of Srila Prabhupada that are bringing the wealth that they have from hearing from Srila Prabhupada, hearing this just from Srila Prabhupada directly from the scriptures. Just, I think of Saha like that. I'm like, Saha, your position is so glorious. You and Salika, Prabhu, so glorious. So thank you guys so very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mother VRAJALILA Devi. Yes, that I accept that I'm having tons and tons and millions of mercies for being on this platform. And I only hope and pray that I do not take it for granted, and make very good use of it. So at this point, devotees, please kindly unmute, and if you have something to say, Mother is here to help us expand more on what has been discussed. So everyone is free to ask questions, give comment, and share realizations, if you may. Hare Krishna.
I would also like to request our senior Vaishnavas that's on this call, Vaishnavis, if you would like to share something about this verse. I would really love to hear from all of you. Starting with you, Saha, you can share something, and if anybody has questions, they can,
I think I'm diseased. I always have something to say. Talking about some realizations on this topic. Of course, I lost a child when he was barely 1 month old. And the pain I went through at the time, as sinful as I am, I prayed to God. I said, please don't let this ever happen to any parent. But it happens to parents every single moment. And the pain you go through for losing a child. Like I said, I pray nobody goes through just to experience it. It's awful. But we do go through. And the nature of my job is such that I see deaths almost every week. And it's a direct experience. And I, at some point, was thinking that after seeing so many, I'll become used to. But I never have, and I don't think I ever will. So losing a human life is very, very difficult. And so I can understand and empathize with Arjuna, what he's going through. I mean, his relationship with Krishna. And now not seeing him, knowing that my sweetest friend is no more to be found, even though we know that Krishna is always ever present, but still there is a difference. No, there is still a difference. So like you're saying about going to Gurudev and at least like praying to him for maybe 10 minutes and crying, it's difficult. It's difficult because I remember Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture on the disappearance day of his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And at some point, he got choked up. He was crying. It's something we cannot shun away. Lord Chaitanya himself carried Haridas Thakur's body and was crying. So, but it's difficult. I'm thinking that if we truly understand how painful it is losing a loved one, then we'll try to do everything we can once we have such individuals in our midst, because at some point we're going to lose them. And there wouldn't be anything much we can do at that point. So why don't we do whatever we think we can do to please that person when the person is here with us? And I'm learning to do that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Saha. Bhaktitirtha Maharaj used to say, don't wait until, he said his mother taught him, yeah. Don't wait until I die to give me my flowers. Give them to me now.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks so much. So I see Mitravinda had her hand up, and I see Varaha Prabhu is here. I also see Hare Chakra Prabhu is here.
My question, if I might jump in because I am at work,
Yeah, please do.
and I don't, sometimes I get these windows. My question is relatable to emotional maturity and in understanding as we move further along this path. Like I'm getting an understanding of people's perspectives, not agreeing with it necessarily, but people's perspectives who are atheists, and the aspect of emotional maturity in relationship to it. Because when we understand, for example, someone who's not experienced Krishna consciousness, and they're young or whatever, you know, there's so many conditions that can come about in the psyche from having an aspect of brokenness, which is relatable to grief and not understanding it or the cause of it. But if, for example, there's some kind of grief or trauma and, you know, they're being constantly told that God is the source of everything, then there can be that connection that God is the reason why this bad thing happened and I'm grieving. So then instead of loving God, Krishna, or whatever name someone has known God by, then there's this mood to dislike or repel against anything and everything spiritual, etc. So along this path, we understand, I understand in an increasing way that Krishna is the source of everything, as we consider good or bad. But without knowing the other side of that experience, the immediate notion is pain. The immediate notion is grief and suffering. But if one doesn't have emotional maturity, that grief and suffering can turn into anger and outward emotions of abuse to others. So would you please speak on emotional maturity and how it relates to spiritual understanding?
Thank you for that question, Mitravinda. I was thinking of, because you mentioned about the atheists, and I was thinking that even people that are not atheists may not be emotionally mature. I'm reflecting on how I would like to answer that from our perspective as Krishna Bhakti yogis. One of the things I see in our institution is that we don't place a lot of emphasis on feelings, on emotions. We tend to use the philosophy to want everyone to be on the highest standard of Krishna consciousness, which is, you know, admirable, which is what is in many ways. We do want to do that. However, like you said, there are many people that they have no clue about emotions. And when we also, as devotees, don't acknowledge emotions in our philosophy or in our, because it's there in our philosophy, in our association, then we make it even more difficult for others to be emotionally mature. Which is why I'm so grateful that I was given this verse, because it's so much about emotions. It's so much about letting devotees be aware that even great personalities like Arjuna, and as we heard, Lord Chaitanya, expressed emotions. So emotional awareness is in this material world, you know, it's not always something we are aware of. And sometimes we need to be trained to understand more about our emotions in many cases. So yes, with people that are not yet mature, as you said, in terms of understanding that on one side of emotions, yes, is the anger, is the disturbance, is the disappointment, is the hurt. However, the other side of that is also love. It's also affection. It's also care. And so how do we help devotees or help people in general to understand that? How do we bring that kind of awareness to emotions? Because people can be angry and just create havoc, disturbance. Most of our planet is mismanaged because of emotions. Most of the things that goes on in our world, the mismanagement comes from emotional immaturity on so many levels. Yeah, because people aren't able to connect with their feelings, and they're not able to express from their feelings what their real needs are. So if someone is feeling angry about some situation, they may not be able to say, I'm feeling angry because I really need to be heard. I really need to be understood. I really need, communication. These things we're not taught how to have these kinds of communications with each other. So it requires some training. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that's helpful, Mitra.
I think she is. She had earlier on indicated she's at work, so I guess she had a little bit of window to ask her question,
Okay.
and she went back.
Okay.
But I
So
believe she's still listening. Yeah.
All right. So I see Hari Chakra Prabhu. I see Govinda. I know that
Yeah.
Varaha Prabhu is here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw somebody named Narayani. Not sure who that might be.
Narayani is in Chicago. She's a God sister in Chicago, originally from Ghana.
From Ghana. Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the call. So I'm anxious to hear from some of you about the emotional aspect of this purport, this translation of purport, and also from the points about us as living entities and Paramatma, the Lord within the heart, and seeing Krishna as the Samam Bonam. What is that? Sri Upanishad? Om Purnamadam Purnamidam. Whole. He's completely whole. Seeing Krishna from that perspective.
Well, Mother, see, as devotees, we are taught and trained to respect and follow the instructions of our gurus and superiors. So there is this viral tape going around by one guru. I won't mention the name. Of course, I don't even remember the name. Thank God I don't remember the name. But I have it. I have it on my thumb drive somewhere. That one devotee was asking this question. Says, Maharaj, there are these devotees. They work so hard. They wake up very early in the morning. They don't go to bed till 10, 11 p.m. And then they wake up 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock the following morning. They work tirelessly. But they don't even have toothpaste to brush their teeth. They don't have certain basic necessities. Now, what do we do? And the Maharaj's answer was, that is the problem we have. The problem we have is that we start thinking of our thoughts instead of thinking of Krishna. So the Maharaj's response was that devotees should not think about how they're going to brush their teeth, how they're going to. See, when a leader has such mood, such ideology, such understanding, and such approach, I'm just finding difficulty the best words to use because I don't want to be offensive. But how should devotees accept the guru's position and at the same time practically understand that what Maharaj is saying is impractical, because being a devotee does not mean that you don't have to keep good hygiene. You have to clean your mouth before you go out there to talk to people. You're going out there to distribute books. And if you're talking to people with very foul other mouth, wow, what does that say? You know? So how do we as Vaishnavas relate to situations like that when those we look up to are telling us things that are impractical and actually something that Srila Prabhupada never expected us to live by? Hare Krishna.
So Saha, thank you very much for making that observation. So, you know, my training is in conflict resolution mediation. That's my secular training. So firstly, usually when I hear anything from the devotees, I always know there's another side. I always know there's two sides, right? There's always two sides. Sometimes there's three sides, sometimes. So when I heard what you said, I heard it from three different perspectives. One perspective is that person, that senior person, did they think that by them speaking in that way, was their intention to perhaps help somebody from not blaming and criticizing? Sometimes somebody can say some things that sounds really outrageous because their intention is to help the person to not criticize and blame, sometimes. So that's one perspective. The other perspective is what was the situation with these devotees, you know, in terms of why were they bringing this to the attention of the senior devotee? What was their intention for doing that? Were they perhaps wanting to minimize somebody in authority, possibly? What was the intention? I would be curious about that. So my training is to always ask questions. And then the third perspective would be, is it perhaps, maybe it could be, the spiritual authority is just like conditioned by spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing means we want to take people to the highest level of our philosophy, but we're not understanding how to emotionally address situations. That's also there. That's a possibility. So for me, I would want to ask questions first before I say, you know, because my opinions have no, if my opinions cannot change a situation, then they don't make any, it's just opinion, right? Somebody can hear it and they may not make a difference in a person's life. However, if I can understand it in a way that I can try it as best as I can, you know, to bring some way of looking at it differently to both sides, then how could I possibly do that? And the first thing for me is to get more content, more understanding, knowing that the tendency of human beings is we all speak from our own perspective. That's the tendency. And it's not always that we take the time, and I'm not saying this of you, I'm saying this, I have this propensity also, that I don't always take the time to explore both sides of a situation. If somebody, you know, if there's sometimes devotees in our environment that they thrive on criticizing and blaming. They thrive on that. And sometimes some senior devotees can know that. And they may just smash someone for that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying they may be, you know, going about it because they might know those persons. I'll give you an example of a situation that, you know, could be misunderstood. Many years ago, Ekavir shared this with me. I was doing service with Guru Maharaj, and both Ekavir and myself, we were sitting in the room with him, with Gurudev. Gurudev was sitting at the desk, and he had some work that he wanted to do. You know, he had some work he wanted me to do. And so it was like some letters, some envelopes, things he wanted me to respond to. So he's sitting up on the desk, if you just visualize that. And from the desk, he threw the things at me, right? Just threw it from there, like threw it to where I was sitting. And Ekavir at the time was kind of new. And so I remember him saying, wow, he just threw that at you. And at the time, to me, it was just like, I didn't even think about it. I just thought he had some service to give me. That was my service, you know? And so from his perception, you know, he was seeing it one way. From my perception, I was seeing it a totally different way. And probably from Gurudev's perception, he was seeing it a totally different way, you know? And it brought up these things like, oh, in my understanding, when you're serving, you know, someone that you have some relationship with, you know, in the sense that I've been serving Gurudev for many years, there's some things that just aren't that important. But to somebody coming in, they can see it and hear it, and it's totally, you know, could totally, like they might not understand it at the time, you know. So like I said, I would have to understand, like, that senior devotee, what's their perspective? You know, how well do they know those devotees and those devotees' mentality? Because that's also a part of what goes on in our getting the embrace, no matter how you embrace me, right? From Lord Chaitanya's prayers. So I hope I'm able to answer that. I don't know. I mean, you know, if he's spiritual bypassing, which is really prominent in our communities of devotees and is prominent among seniors, then again, they need, many seniors in our devotional sangha need training. Many seniors are managing without proper knowledge of management. Many. They may be brahmanas acting as brahmachari, as managers. Ekavir Prabhu and I was just talking about that this morning. There are some devotees, they're brahmanas. They're not really meant to manage, really. However, they may be in management roles because maybe nobody else want to do it, nobody else take it up or whatever. Maybe even they are not able to pass it on. Maybe they're not ready in their own consciousness to pass on the management, and they may not be doing it so nicely. That happens. Again, mismanagement of the world. This whole world is being mismanaged by people that, you know, so sometimes not properly being in the devotee life. They're not situated in the place that they need to be situated. Some devotees just need to be teaching. I realized that about myself. When I was managing, I was horrible in some ways. Sometimes people didn't like me because I was too intense. I was so intense, you know, and people don't, you know what I mean? People don't function like that when you're volunteering your life in some situation. They don't want somebody, you know, like just telling them how to do, what to do and all that. They don't function like that. And I had some of that in me, in my nature, you know, kind of really intense and really like have a bit of a perfectionist kind of mood, which totally doesn't, you know, it doesn't work so much with some people, with lots of people. So now I'm totally happy in my role of just trying to learn how to teach, just be a teacher. Don't manage anything, manage your life, manage your own life. And most importantly, manage my internal life. Manage my internal life. That's enough. I can do that for the rest of this lifetime. However, to manage people, you got to be very compassionate, extremely compassionate, extremely empathetic. And unfortunately, many of our managers are not trained in that way. Unfortunately. That's as close as I can get.
Well, thank you so much, Mother. And thank you for the explanation. And I am very fortunate because when I first came into this country, I was under your shelter, and you were the manager. And I do not think I can ever have any better caring than what I received from you and continue to receive from you. So I am a testament to what you're saying. And I hope other devotees can also have questions and some realizations to share on this topic, because I think it's one of the crux necessities of building our precious movement, caring for devotees.
So Saha, I just want to say how much I am grateful to you for those kind words of encouragement. Because one of the things I have come to learn is managing our internal life is full-time work. And my internal life has a lot to do with my internal language that I use with myself. And as you heard me say, I was horrible, I was this, I was that, because that's my internal messaging to myself, right? And so you have helped me to question myself. Why do you have that internal language about yourself? What is it that makes you have that? So now I thank you because you've given me something. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. I'm just grateful to have you. Guru and Krishna are so kind upon me. Hare Krishna. So any devotee with any question, please? Comment, realizations? It's always a family reunion when we get together here. So let's continue to share. What's the name? Srimad Prabhu had earlier on sent a message in the chat room that he was on his way back to the temple. He doesn't have good reception. So I'm sure he may be at the temple where he will have better reception, because I think he had a question. So let's see. But before then, if anyone else has a question, please kindly do that. I mean, I always have questions, but I do not want to make the forum boring. Me asking questions all the time, but I want devotees to please ask questions.
Also comments. I'm open to comments. I love comments.
All
I
right,
love
comment.
feedback.
Comment.
Is here too.
Shriman Varaha, are you at the temple where you can speak? Kavikanapul, are you driving?
Hare Krishna, Babu, I'm happy with hearing.
Oh, you're not driving. Okay, you're happy hearing.
I'm happy to hear.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mother, for your wonderful lecture. We are always happy to hear from you. Although I came late because I was driving, but I'm okay.
Okay, Kavi, I'm happy to hear from you guys. I'm always anxious, I like to hear from all of you, especially about these verses. And I see that you guys have a lot going on in the chat too. So I'm open to hearing about what's going on in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, man. What is going on in the chat is more of controversy. If we bring it here, we will not leave here today.
Well, yeah. We're trying to. This has been one of our challenges, because as much as we try to honor senior devotees, I don't think we are also deprived of asking questions. Actually, that is just our system. Questions and answers, since time immemorial. Well, sometimes some questions may not be properly asked. And if it's not properly asked, my understanding or my take is that the senior devotee's mood is always as that of a teacher. The senior devotee always acts in the capacity of teaching, because eventually we're all going to leave our bodies. And Srila Prabhupada's teachings are going to remain here. Now, if the teachings are not properly passed on, how do we expect the teachings to last? So I think it's the duty of every devotee to teach. And teaching means what we say and what we do, most importantly, what we do. So personally, I try to think in that frame of mind that I am a teacher. I teach by my words, and I also teach by my lifestyle, my behaviors. It's always easier said than done, but once I have that at the back of my mind, from time to time, I try to think about that and figure out how I'm going to be able to pass on by words what I've read, and also, more importantly, live by what I've read and heard from other devotees. So I think if that seems to be appropriate, then I think it's something to be encouraged by all devotees, and for all devotees to try to live by. That there is the book Bhagavata and there is the personality Bhagavata. So the scriptures are there, and we should also try to become the scriptures, the human scriptures, by the way we behave. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. So is Varaha Prabhu there? If not, I'm going to do something that I do normally when I'm doing my workshops.
Okay, please do it till maybe he comes in.
Ma, if you want us to talk about dancing, then I can come in.
Anything is open.
Yeah, because I remember, it has become a tradition now. I remember when I just came to the movement, and my stepfather actually is the one who introduced me to Krishna consciousness. And somehow or the other, he doesn't like this dance. And the way the devotee will face themselves, and they will be, jumping up like this. So he doesn't like it. It's not that because he doesn't like me, I don't like it. But me also, when I look at it, and for years I examine it, and when the devotee, when they finish dancing it, what they do after, I was watching everything very closely. Then I came to realize that the dancing actually was not elevating the consciousness, because it was more of agitating the lower chakras. And this was confirmed one day when I was in Benin, because I've been thinking about this so much in my head. Then one day, when the last time Bhagavatam Swami Maharaj came to Nigeria, so there was this yatra we were doing. Maharaj was put on a palanquin, and we were doing Harinam on the street. As we were going, so this, the ecstasy that Guru Maharaj was there, and the kirtan was like that, and this dancing started again. And I remember very clearly, so one particular devotee started dancing this, and one Mataji came to face him, and they were doing it. And I was so shocked and surprised that Maharaj came down from his seat. He took that stick he used for playing his drum, and he hit it so hard on this devotee that this stick broke up. And immediately he hit him on him. He turned back to the temple and went back to he turned back, he left the Harinam, and he went back to the temple. And that day, Krishna confirmed that dance was not approved. Just that devotee were doing it doesn't mean that Maharaj was approve it. And this thing continued to go on again and again. When you talk about it, they tell you It's African dance. We are Africans. We have to dance like this. We are African. That is how we dance. And I begin to understand, what is Krishna consciousness? I begin to ask myself, Krishna consciousness is not about a particular tradition or race. Although, if Krishna consciousness is preached in a particular region, whatever is in the mode of goodness in that region can be embraced into Krishna consciousness. But whatever is not in the mode of goodness, I don't think we have to say, oh, because we are in particular race, or we have to do things like this. So, and when I saw, although that dance that devotee was dancing that Sayadaw Prabhu commented on, it was not as much lustier than the one, but I use it as an opportunity to express myself. Because you see the way, I see it as a display of, I'm more passionate than you, than dancing for Krishna. And many times my Guru Maharaj, when it comes to the country, these people, they are in the transcendental consciousness. They talk about something, but they try to talk for us to change, but because they are pure devotees, they just only have to advise us and talk to us, but they don't need to use force. And I remember very clearly when we were in Mayapur, when I was in Mayapur, and some group of Africans they came to Mayapur. And again, they have to prove again that they are Africans. So they have to do this dance, and all the devotees have to be watching them. And my Guru Maharaj came to me, he said, why do these young people have to do this fucking chicken dance everywhere? It's like, what this is now Prabhupada wants us to dance, It's like, it's embarrassing to him for the devotee to come and be dancing like that. And they think that, I remember one time, and also Guru Maharaj doesn't like sometimes they play djembe. They think, oh, we're African, we have to play djembe. So that is why I begin to think, all these things, they are infiltrating ISKCON or Krishna consciousness. And we are thinking, okay, because I'm from this particular part of the world, so I have to do my Krishna consciousness in this way. I have to do my Krishna consciousness that way. And as time goes on, before we know, we will not be following the param, or we will not be following the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna consciousness, who has given us so much guideline on how he wants his movements, how we want us to live in ISKCON. So I was afraid of this, and that is why when Sayadaw Prabhu mentioned about dance, I saw it as an opportunity to jump in, and I started pouring out my heart. So, man, I don't know what you'd like to say about this. I know some people, they are Africans, and they always want to show that they're African in whatever they do, but I don't think Krishna consciousness is about particular race or a particular species. I think, according to what we have learned from SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, Krishna consciousness is on the transcendental platform. And if you want to come to this platform, we have to cultivate the mode of goodness. So in whatever culture we are in, I think we have to select the goodness, things that are in mode of goodness in that culture for our Krishna consciousness, not everything, because so that is what I want to say, ma. So please, if you can throw more light on this. Thank you, ma. Sorry for taking so much time.
Wow, that was a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Kavi, for your freedom of expression. That's what I call it, freedom of expression. I'm a little curious. I have a question. Because as you know, I lived in Africa for so long, and I'm wondering, when the dance is done outside of the Krishna consciousness movement, is it seen in the communities, in the African communities, as lusty? Like, are people?
Generally, this, in Africa or in Nigeria, but I don't know about other African countries, but in Nigeria, I know. In Nigeria, we have so many traditional dances. Every tribes have their way they dance. But I know that there are some elegant way of dancing in these cultures also, elegant. And there are some people who dress like they wear half-naked clothes. They wear only bra, pants, and they dance in this cultural way. And the way they dance is also It's very, it's rhythm, is harmonizing. How would I use that word? You know, it's in harmonize with the music they play. You know, it's in harmony with the music they play. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that every culture in every part of the world, be it Africa, be it Europe, be in America, be in Asia, we have every culture in 3 modes. These 3 modes is not only particular to any part of the world, it's in everywhere in the world. So there are some culture in Africa also that are of mode of ignorance. There are some culture that are in a mode of passion, and there are some culture that are in mode of goodness. So similarly also with the dancing also. So that is my own concern about this. Yes, they want to dance in the cultural way. It may not, some of them are not, you know, they may not be done in a way to agitate the lower chakras. But the way we, the devotees, display our own kirtan dance, I'm very concerned about that. Because you see, the women, they come and stand behind the Prabhujis, and then they just focus to how they display the passion. And the Prabhujis also come and, you know, look at the Matajis, and sometimes they face each other, which was what make Maharaj be angry on that particular Harinam day, which is not, it means that it's not authorized. So this is the concern. The concern is, must we dance in that way? Because I've not seen anybody who is dancing in that way that has become a pure devotee today. At least since I started, since I've been in that movement, since all our senior devotees today, most of them, they don't dance like that, but they watch these young ones dance like that. But they don't dance like that themselves. Even since I know them for many years, 15 years, Maharaj don't dance like that, Bhaktisiddhanta Damodara Maharaj. Although sometimes he become very ecstatic, he jump up, but he doesn't do that particular style. I watch him very closely. And many also, when Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj become very ecstatic in dancing, he doesn't dance like that. I know when he's ecstatic, I know how he dances. He jump and swing, and very in a very elegant dancing of, you know, that even when you watch that dance, you fall in transcendental love. But this one doesn't show any, it doesn't depict any transcendence or any goodness. And that is the concern. I'm sorry for talking about this. You know.
Hare Krishna, Mother Raj, if I may buttress what Kavikana Prabhu is saying, and also attempt to answer your question, is that personally, I have said this a couple times on this very platform, that I'm an African. And so, and of course, I'm proud being an African. Wherever I am, I'm very proud being an African. But in this modern age, there are some traditions we have, which I think it's not really healthy. And that is, in a civilized world, women always cover their breast, you know, but we have some cultures in Africa, especially in South Africa, where in today's world, matured women, they would do their traditional dance with their breasts exposed, nothing covering anything, completely open. But that does not also arouse any lusty desires from the onlookers. Despite the fact that such lusty desires are not aroused even when they're doing such dance, personally, I feel that it's still not very healthy. And when it comes to devotees dance, it may not arouse lusty desires, but somebody standing outside and watching the devotees dance sees that, oh, these people are not different from us, because the dance the devotees are dancing is what you see the karmis do in discos or like drinking parlors. And so like every year, every 2 years, a different dancing style appears, manifests, and it becomes like viral these days. You know, there was one dance called Azonto. Azonto, you know, everybody dances like that. And so when it comes, who know this style of dance, see devotees doing the same thing in kirtans. It's, oh, so these people do the same thing as we do. Those are some of the things we are talking about. It's not necessarily like arousing lusty desires, but just doing the mundane things the karmists do when they are drunk and having their mundane fun. There is a book actually written for ISKCON that gives guidelines on kirtan. And I think we all should be paying attention to reading that book and trying to live that way. I mean, when there is ecstasy, you can do anything and everything, but I was saying that the ecstasy that we get into and become blissful is as a result of where we started the kirtan, you know. And I was saying that nobody dances like Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, but no matter how ecstatic he becomes, you never see him doing any sort of mundane steps. He never does that. And so for somebody to claim that I've become ecstatic and I don't know what I'm doing, so I can dance any style anyway. My challenge was that if that happens, and I also claim that I've become so ecstatic and I start kissing women in the kirtan, what do you say? Is that also an ecstasy? Hare Krishna, mother.
So I'm hearing a lot of details about dancing, and I'm hearing that there are different perceptions, I guess, yeah, different understandings about the dance. Kind of like in our institution where we have the innovators and the traditionalists, and we have people that present the philosophy from an innovative perspective, or they present it from a traditional perspective. So we have that that aspect of conflict, really, because it's actually presented conflicts in our institution. So dance, I'm hearing all the details. I think the point for me that I think is important, that I understand that's important in Krishna Bhakti, in the process of Krishna Bhakti, is how do we share these perceptions we may have without being judgmental, without minimizing another person. How do we do this? How do we learn to do this? And this may need to come from our leaders in encouraging people, you know, with whatever culture, you know, they come from, and whatever they're bringing from that, whatever conditioning that they may be bringing from that culture. How do we encourage those persons without having to make them feel small? And I think that is more important than the details of the thing, because as you know, different parts of the world, people dance differently. This culture is different. I've seen cultures in Europe that dance pretty, you know, it seems, you know, like somebody could put a label on that. Somebody could put a label on the way Indians dance, because, you know, there's certain ways that they dance that could appear very sensuous, depending on our perception, and depending on our labels that we put on it. So to address anything that we think is not going the way that best, you know, exemplifies Srila Prabhupada's mood, which Prabhupada taught us 2 steps, and anything that's outside of that, we want to approach it in a way that with care, where those persons that we're approaching, that they feel really cared for and really loved and really understood. And it may take time, you know, just like all of us in the material world, we're all attached to so many different things. And Krishna, he in the heart, the Lord in the heart, he watches us And he's taking time with us for us to uncover and to really come to that place of really accepting and honoring whatever the Lord is trying to teach us in the heart. And so those lessons from the Lord in the heart is for us to practice, with others in the world. And so as far as whether or not the dancing is sensuous, I don't know. We could say that this could be a conflict, of moralistic judgment. It could also be a conflict of belief. However, in all conflicts, every conflict, it's to really see how to help people to feel cared for. And that's our challenge. That's our real challenge. Because if we keep going from that perspective of you're wrong, and this is what you're doing is wrong, and what you're doing is, making others like this or like that, I don't think people hear so well, when it's presented like that. When we don't, somebody, there's a statement that says, I can't, your action speaks louder, than your words. So how you treat me, as another saying that says, connection before education. So if you're not connected with me and you try to educate me, it might be more difficult. So how do we connect? And leaders, this is the responsibility. This is the responsibility of a leader, is first find ways to connect with people and then educate so that they can hear. Otherwise, it creates an atmosphere of conflicts constantly. So we got to check with ourselves and see, do I want to be right? Or do I want to create an atmosphere where we can all try to, respect each other? Because we're all doing something that's not acceptable. Every one of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here in this material world. So what is it? What is it in the Bible? Whatever, somebody cut you throw the first stone, So I don't know that verse, but I remember my mom always teaching me that before you find fault in someone, you look within yourself. So that's kind of like the work that I do, is to try to help us to we have a culture of blame and judging. And that culture is predominant in our ISKCON organization and is prominent among our leaders. And I find that unfortunate.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mother. I think we have something from Salika Prabhu. Please unmute. Salika, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Let me first offer my respectful repeated obeisances to Mother VRAJALILA for this wonderful class.
We can't see you though.
I feel so. Oh, sorry. I've been multitasking all the while, so that's why I had to put up the phone so I don't distract everyone with my movement. At the time I was driving and I just get back to the temple, so sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to chip in something before Mother gave a response in response to the topic about dancing and and I think her answer is so beautiful. Mother has a way of maturely handling seemingly complex topic in a very simple manner that suits the heart of everyone. And there's a particular word she used that is very, very, I feel so much connected to that. Do we really want to be right, or do we really want to help people to take Krishna consciousness? And I think I've had Gurudev said that also a few times. And in terms of trying to correct people or make people right, we sometimes end up losing them because we make them feel they're not wanted. But my comment is that talking about dancing, I think that the problem isn't the traditional African dancing that is the problem. What I think is the problem is that devotees trying to dance or dancing the new trends or materialistic trends of dancing. I think that is where the problem comes in. Naturally, when we came into devotional service, there is this traditional African kirtan dancing, which I think none of the gurus were against. But the problem that is arising is that devotees and the young generation devotees, they leave the traditional Hare Krishna African dancing steps and then adapt the trending dance. I think Sahadev was trying to show us one of those steps while he was speaking, Ozonto's dancing. He was trying to show us how they dance that. So I think this is where the problem lies. So the problem is not dancing African dancing, but devotees copying the current trending materialistic dancing steps and dancing that in the kirtan. I think that is where the problem is coming in. Because I've never seen any of the gurus complain about the traditional African kirtan dancing steps. I'm a very passionate dancer. And I think I imbibe that from seeing Gurudev dance. But I can tell you honestly, I don't dance kirtan again. And I feel so much pain. Why? Because what we know as dancing steps when we join the movement, it's not what is being done now. The kirtan, in the name of kirtan, becomes wild as if there is some war going on, or the dancing is the music, even the miranga, they plan the way of playing the miranga in such a way that it gives the rhythm of the current trending Ozonto. What are the other names? Sir, if you can remind me, so many of them. I think this is the problem. So it is not African cultural dancing or the traditional African kirtan dancing that we know from the beginning. The problem lies in the copying of the trending materialistic famous musicians' steps of dancing, bringing that into the kirtan party. I think this is where the problem is, because Mother asked a question, and I think no one was able to address that directly, because she asked a question that, does the people in general, the society, see this kind of dancing as immoral? I think that's what's our question. And yes, society sees these dancing steps as immoral, and devotee copying that is what makes it annoying. It is what makes it disturbing. It is what brings about concern about the dancing steps.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Mother, do
Salim.
you have something to say about that?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic, only because, yeah, okay, so yeah, full disclosure, I was trained as a dancer, and so this is a topic that hits home for me in a way, because one of the things that attracted me to coming to Africa before I was a devotee was a festival called Festak. It was in Nigeria. And really my attraction was the dancing and the drums. I wasn't from Africa, So, I'm curious. I'm really curious, because at that time, that's many years ago, I never saw the dance as like something that was sensual. I didn't see it like that. Because I came from a background of dance as an art, even dance as a profession. So I didn't think of it like that. And I guess I still don't. So, I mean, I do know though, because I have been in environments where I have heard criticisms about the dancing. I have been in environments where I've seen people walk out the temple room when, you know, African devotees are dancing. I have seen that. I see dance as an art, you know, and I see all kinds of dance as art. And I also understand from a Krishna conscious perspective that a lot of times we are concerned about how others are looking at us, you know, and so because we come from a diverse culture in Krishna consciousness, then yes, someone may not. It may be like it is. I'm understanding what you're saying, that the Salika Prabhu, that the new styles of dancing might be what's creating some disturbance. So again, I think, you know, the thing is, again, perhaps to really educate people about dance style, dance forms, why Prabhupada maybe gave us that style of dancing, because there's all kinds of dancing in India also. However, Prabhupada gave us that style of dancing, and why we want to encourage people to develop that style of dancing as much as we possibly can. At the same time, we can't stifle people's self-expression and movement, because dance is movement. And so sometimes, you know, there is a dance therapy here in the West. I don't know, you probably could develop it in Africa too, actually. It's a therapy where people just get free from all their frustrations and emotions by that movement of dance. So, yeah, you know, my whole point is just how we approach the topic. If we approach it from a place of being judgmental, in a message may not get through, as you know, it may not get through to those persons that we wanted to get through to. So we want to be, as we said, as, you know, as loving and as kind as we can, bringing the message. I think that's how I would like to approach it.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mother, as always. Anadi Nidanam Prabhu, please unmute. I think Srimad Varaha is in the temple, so after Anadi Nidanam, we go to Srimad Varaha.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Mother. Thank you as for Dandavat pranams.
Hari Hari.
Yeah, Mother, in fact, I'm enjoying the conversation. Actually, I've been the kind of person who observes a lot. And in our temple here in Accra, I most often try to check on these things. So I several times asked this kind of question on this very platform. And I was told that we shouldn't be offense conscious, but rather we should be Krishna conscious. So the fact that we are already a Krishna conscious devotee, why do we bother about such things? Because Mother, this have been something that I've been talking about, because in even our temple room, djembes have been played in the temple room, just a small secluded place. Djembes to that. In fact, we can't even bear it. So, but when you talk about it, it's like, why are you talking about it? So, in fact, I'm happy when this kind of things are being discussed on this, because for me, it's like, I don't know how to in devotees, but anything that I read in the scripture, I try to put them in practice. So whenever I see somebody doing it, I try to correct the person. And when the person, if it is a senior devotee, I try to pass the message on from another senior devotee. So this has been the norm. Our kirtan is nothing to write home about. So Mother, it's good we are tackling this, and this message have to go down to the temple authorities, whereby some of these basic rules and regulations have to put in place so that we avoid such situations. So Hare Krishna, this is my new fight input. Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Anadi Nidanam.
Thank you, Nadini. I'm so happy to hear and see you. I haven't seen you in a while. So exciting. Yeah, again, you
Thank
know,
you.
as I was saying, yes, the temple authorities, I think that this is this, it's important. I mean, all of us, we all take part in, you know, in community development, and so it's important that we all have a voice. At the same time, if the temple devotees, you know, are under the care of the temple authorities, that it's just like if you live in the home of your parents and you're still under the care of your parents, you know, they'll give you some guidance on what's accepted and what's not accepted. So similarly, the temple authorities, they give some guidance. Now, you will always have some people that won't accept that guidance, right? And so what people do outside of the temple, then what can you do? There's nothing you can do about that. At the same time, Krishna dances, so Krishna is a dancer. You know what I mean? The whole spiritual world is full of dance. So for a little how we do it, if we're gonna create, you know, this harmony amongst ourselves just because of how we do it, that easily can be checked. That seems to me like it's just something that, you know, sit with everybody and let them express, talk, why they maybe choose to dance in those ways, what it is it does for them. Maybe they never thought about it. They haven't even themselves thought about, you know, sit in a circle together and have everybody hold a stick and say, okay, I dance like this because blah, 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 blah. Pass the stick, let somebody else talk, you know, get people to express themselves and understand, maybe learn from them. Maybe, you know, there's so much we learn from each other always. So thank you, Anandini. Thank you for, maybe you can share with devotees when you do correct them with anything, you can share with them why it is important to you, why you are correcting. What is it that is important to you? Whatever that rule or regulation is. I am sharing this with you because I have seen how this has helped me and however it has helped you. Devotees are intelligent. We want to engage their intelligence.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. I just wanted to say in regards to the use of other musical instruments like the djembe, that personally, I do not think that using djembes and kirtans are wrong. It all depends on how it's used. And maybe at a later time, I will share with you all on the Hare Krishna WhatsApp platform the book called the Standards of Kirtan in Hare Krishna movement. But using djembe, guitar, accordion, harmonium, organ, they are all musical instruments. They can be used, provided they are used in the sentiment of devotion, not like showing off, you know. Well, I think we'll go to Shriman. No, I think Shriman Bharata Prabhu is ready. Govinda, you have a question, please. Yeah, please unmute.
Oh.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, devotees. Mother, please accept my respectful obeisances. Glory to Gurudev. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Mother, thank you very much for giving us a wonderful lesson, as usual, again this morning. And mine is not a question, it's a kind of contribution to what you've already said. Actually, Mother has said everything. One thing I've noticed personally is that when the kirtan is going on, and one is absorbed into that kirtan, he never sees anything around him. If kirtan is going on and you are playing your kartas, you are praying the mridanga, you are doing the chanting, or you are responding to the chanting, or you are dancing to the music, to the kirtan, you don't see what other people are doing. You only see what other people are doing, how they are praying the kartas. If sometimes they may be praying the kartas wrongly, but if you are absorbed in the kirtan, you don't see that one. You don't see that fault. If one is not playing the mridanga properly, and you are very much absorbed in the kirtan, you don't see that. In fact, when one is absorbed in kirtan, you are out of this world. You don't see anything. Of course, not everybody has this kind of experience. And so if the kirtan is going on and you are not participating, then definitely you are going to see so many things. You are going to see so many things. You know, if you are quiet, standing somewhere just watching the devotees, the way they dance, the way they jump, the way they sing, the way they open their mouth and they do things, you are going to have something to criticize about. And so what I'm saying is that I remember one time you were doing kirtan with Guru Maharaj in one of the regions in Ghana, Obuasi. And while the kirtan was going on, we were doing the Harinam. And Gurudev was so absorbed in the kirtan that he was holding a stick, beating a small drum. That he was using the stick for the devotees to sing in, like a microphone. So one may be wondering what is going on. So if you are standing outside and you're watching Guru Maharaji pointing the stick to someone to sing through, to sing in that stick, what will you think? What will you think about Guru Maharaji? On a mundane platform, you're going to see it on the mundane platform. But if you absorb in the kirtan like himself absorbed in that kirtan, you don't see that. When you are dancing in kirtan, or you are singing, or you are very much absorbed in the kirtan, that is the real meditation. That's the time you don't even remember anything. You don't remember anything, including your own body and whatever you are doing, you don't remember anything. And so what I'm trying to say is that when the kirtan is going on, we should all try to get into the kirtan. We should get into the kirtan. Like yesterday, we had a kirtan in Mother Atma's home in West Virginia. You know, it's a small place, but that kirtan is still ringing in my ears. So tumultuous, so powerful, because everybody was absorbed in that kirtan. So let us get into the mood of kirtan. That's what Chaitanya Prabhu wants. Once we get it, we'll get into that mood of kirtan. You will never see anything wrong. Like Mother Riley said, some people have just joined the movement. They have carried this kind of dance. They're carrying so much different type of consciousness from outside there. Now they have come as a new patient in the hospital. You go to asylum, you go to psychiatric, you see, the patients, they behave all kinds of behavior. So if you're a doctor and then you stand somewhere and say, hey, you're behaving too rough, I'm going to criticize and drive you away, then you're going to end up losing all your patients. And so as a doctor, we should try to understand these things. And like Mother said, you call that person you think is not doing right, and then you talk to him in a very loving way. And that will be very, very much, effective than to try to condemn him for good. That person may go away if you try to condemn him. The duty of devotees, especially those living in a temple, is to make sure that whoever comes become a devotee. Whoever steps there becomes a devotee. So Prabhupada says the wonderful thing is that one comes to this movement and stay till death, not those who come and go away. So you will become more teachers if you are able to keep the student that comes in to become a very good student, not to behave in a way that we will drive them away. And so let us check all these things. First of all, when the kirtan is going on, please, let us all get involved. Once you stand quietly somewhere, then you are going to criticize the djembe player, the meredanga player, the kata player, the dancer, and even the person singing. You're going to have fault everywhere because kirtan is not a mundane song. It's a complete spiritual song. And when we sing and dance, it's all on a transcendental platform. The gopis, they sing and dance from tree to trees. They jump from tree to trees. Is there any mundane dance like that? People jump from tree to trees. Guru Maharaj, I remember once in official town, Odoko Accra, he was dancing kirtan. Kirtan was so strong, so powerful. Before you realize, Gurudev climbed one van, and he was on top of the van, dancing on top of the van. How are you going to see that? How are you going to explain that if you are on the mundane platform? This person has jumped on the van, and he was dancing ecstasy on top of the van. And so I'm not encouraging that we dance on that low consciousness, but how would you know if the person is dancing on a low consciousness or not? We may end up becoming their paradise ourselves because the person may be absorbing kirtan, you don't know. But if you think that it's not right, you call him aside somewhere and try to talk to him. Thank you very much, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Madam Raj, you are muted.
I just want to thank Govinda for being on this call. Just look, he's like doing his karma yoga devotional service. So I am just, it's amazing how Krishna makes himself available depending on our desire. Thank you, Prabhu. And thank you for your comment. Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, that's such a beautiful point that kirtan is on a transcendental platform. Again, I keep mentioning this point. Let's share whatever we share in moods of not being judgmental with each other. Let's try to see how we can bring more love. That's what's missing, actually. It's just care and love for the devotees and genuine. Yeah. That's what I see is key.
Hare Krishna. Kavi Kanapur.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu, for allowing me. And thank you very much, Momada, and thank you, Govinda Prabhu, for your contribution. So it's true. Like what Mother is saying, we should be careful not to be judgmental. But there is a concern also that this is an organization, and the founder already he has given a system in that organization. And if you want to be in that organization, I think we owe the duty that we follow the acharya of that organization. Because I remember, like Prabhu is saying, yes, we can use all kind of instrument in kirtan, but the thing that is there, if there's no, I remember in physics, if there's no harmony in your music, that is noise. Noise means no harmonized music. And music is when everything is in harmony. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that sometimes I watch some Christian people, when they're singing praises, you see them crying in tears. That is what we call bhava, because they are listening to the lyrics of the music. And that is what Prabhupada wanted for us, that we should listen to the Maha Mantra. If we listen to the Maha Mantra, then we become purified. But if you so much attached with, we have to play jambe, we have to play this, we have to play that, and we miss the essence, which is the Maha Mantra itself, which is going to make us to be ecstatic or to feed bhav, then we are missing everything. Because I remember in that post, the post I posted in the group, Papa said we should listen to the Maha Mantra. Whatever we are playing, whatever we are doing, we should listen to the Maha Mantra, because that is what is going to make us to be ecstatic. That is what is going to purify us. But if we are so much attached to the music aspect of the kirtan, I don't think anybody will get purified. It's not about judgmental or whatever. It's just the reality, because what is purifying us is the Maha Mantra, is the Maha Mantra itself. So, and also, sorry, Prabhu Govinda, but I need to make some comment. You said that if somebody is not absorbing kirtan, then the person will be seeing forth. Oh, Prabhu, what we have to, the music itself has to put you in that bar before you forget the external consciousness. If the thing is not taking you to that realm, how can you be in that realm?
Well, Mata, I'm sorry. I have to come in just 1 second. Prabhu, you are still talking about the djembe. See, there's one of our gurus, Gunagrahi Maharaj. He always played djembe, and nobody knows what Shri Prabhupada want more than that guru. He plays djembe, and myself, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, so many times when he's doing kirtan, he will ask me to go and pick up my djembe. So what do we say about that? We don't know more than Bhaktivedanta, we don't know more than Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. And talking of getting absorbed in the kirtan, it's not an artificial thing. What I'm saying is that it's a service also. Just like we are cleaning temple room, and we are maybe 2 or 3 people cleaning the temple room. One may be very busily cleaning, with all his heart, and others may be standing as if they are doing, but they are not doing. You will not get enthused in doing that service. Whatever we are doing requires enthusiasm. That's what Nectar of Devotion says. Once there's an enthusiasm, you do it anyway. You may even not like to do it, but once you have the enthusiasm to do it, you do it. I know not everybody likes music, not everybody likes dancing, but this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to do. Himself, he showed us an example. He was always chanting and dancing. So once we get into the kirtan, we try to sing, but not to look around to see what others are doing. Krishna will inspire us to have taste in that kirtan. But for the djembe, Guru Maharaj Bhaktivedanta Maharaj personally has called me so many times. Go pick up your djembe. So we're following Gurudev's example. He likes the djembe, so we love it also.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Govinda Prabhu, Kavikanapur, Mother Braj. Thank you, as usual, for your patience and inclusiveness in your classes.
May I say something?
Yeah,
just
please, go ahead.
Quickly,
Yes,
Kavikanapur.
Yeah.
I'm so much appreciating his generosity to have freedom of expression, because that's very important in our communities. If we're not able to be vulnerable to share what's in our hearts, then because we think somebody else might, not be able to hear it nicely, or they may not be able to, understand, then we are creating like a fragmentation in our communities. So I'm so really grateful to you for expressing what you're expressing. And yeah, the thing is, what you're saying, I understand. I believe you're both right. If there's such a thing as right, you're both right in what you're saying, that there is that perspective. And I want to kind of go back to this challenge that's going on in our ISKCON movement, is the traditional versus the innovative or the creative. That's happening. And so from a traditional perspective, it's very, very important what you're sharing. We got to maintain the tradition. We got to maintain what Prabhupada has given to us. We got to be able to be respectful to each other. And then yet you have this innovative and this creative mood of how to make Krishna consciousness available to others. So for example, when I think about just being in Africa, if you want to, even in Nigeria, if you want to kind of connect, with people in Nigeria, and you're gonna, let's say, bring the best dancers in ISKCON, or just bring some dancers from ISKCON, you want to dance in some way that can attract them some. And I'm not saying, dance in a sensual way. I'm saying the cultural dance of Africa attracts Africans. So if you give that up totally, then, it might be like, you may or may not be able to bring people as easily. I say this only to say, in my experience of being in Africa, we were very traditional in those beginning years. And I saw that, yes, we brought really sincere devotees came. Lord Chaitanya sent sincere devotees. And I'm seeing that now there's a creative, innovative person that's teaching. I think his name is Jana Shakshus or something. And he's attracting so many people because he's utilizing a different style, right? He's utilizing a style that speaks to the heart of the people. So we want to also be aware that sometimes our innovative and creative mood can be used, and then when we a connection before education, when we connect and we bring people, then we lovingly educate them about some of our different traditional ways of doing things. So they're both important. And I just wanted to thank everyone on the call. I want to thank you guys, especially for just kind of being vulnerable. When I'm here, I just feel it's just so beautiful for me to hear all of you just express from your hearts what, how you're reflecting on things that are daily practical things that apply in our lives. I have been in environments where I have really felt some disturbance when I saw people criticizing our African devotees for dancing. I have felt sadness in my heart. I have even felt anger at times because I had to be a part of that environment and see that and feel those people, that kind of heavy, disturbing mood that they would have, and I would know this is cultural. Yes, maybe some of it does appear sensual. However, a lot of it is cultural. A lot of it is cultural. And so let's try to encourage people as best as we can.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I think we'll go to Srimad Varaha Prabhu. Thank you, Mother, for being here with us for this lengthy period of time. Srimad Varaha Prabhu, please unmute.
Jai.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
My respectful obeisances to all the devotees. I thought time had already gone so much, and I was just thinking maybe there will be no need to say anything any longer. But it's like Mataji always wants us to contribute something. I've had enough about this Ketan issue, and I think we've had enough lessons from Mataji about this. Very, very instructive points are made, and we should take them to act. Anyway, I don't want to, waste time on that again. I rather want to say something. Of course, I had the lecture piecemeal while I was driving because the network was bad. So I missed many things. It was coming and going. But there's one point, Mataji, that I want to mention. That's about the emotions about loss. The emotion about loss. And I was really trying to understand that, but unfortunately, I wasn't hearing every part of it. I have had many experiences about loss, and but my experiences, if I share with the devotees, you will be stunned. Of course, some of you know some of the stories, but I just want to know what did we learn about loss from Prabhupada? Did Prabhupada just give up things and let things be lost, and then just keep his hand folded? Did Krishna also just allow things to be lost? So, I mean, this is my question. I can share a little bit about my experience about loss. Just recently, on Nasinga Shatudasi. I went home. I don't stay at home most of the time. I stay in the temple, but I went home that morning, picture, and I found that my house was being broken into, and many things were taken. So, well, it's a shock, but something happened. I had a wardrobe, and then there's some drawers, and about 4 drawers, and this guy opened all the drawers except the one that has money in it. He didn't open that, and the money was in. It makes you feeling, wow, Krishna, you did this, you know. So, and eventually we got to find out these people, and they've been arrested now. So anyway, enjoy devotee losing things that are valuable for them in their service. I have seen this again and again, and I just don't want to go. Most of the devotees time because time has already gone. So that's to lose things. Is Krishna really like that? Did we learn that from Prabhupada? So that's my question, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Varaha Prabhu. Thank you so much. I am, yeah, it's interesting that you experienced some loss from the things, you know, from your home, and you're sharing that what was appeared that the Lakshmi that can be used in Krishna service. Krishna saved that for you. He didn't let that get taken. As you shared, other things got taken. So when we talk about loss, as we said, loss is on many, many levels. So I guess my question for you would be, having things taken from you. Well, first, let me answer your question, because you're sharing about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And so in the Lilamrita, Prabhupada speaks about, you know, in the very beginning when he came and when he was in the Bowery, and things would be taken from him. His typewriter was taken, different things were taken from Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you know, there was nothing he really could do about that. It's taken. So he accepted that was a loss. That was a loss that he experienced. And they wrote about it in order to glorify Krishna, in order to glorify the pure devotee. Satsrup Maharaj wrote about it, to share what the pure devotee went through, what he had to go through in order to bring Krishna to us. Just recently, yesterday, I think we were reading about another loss where Prabhupada had, there was a devotee that he trained, for in the beginning, and this devotee was very, very close to him. And when Prabhupada started speaking about the moon planet, this devotee couldn't accept. He had difficulties accepting that people went to the moon. They didn't go to the moon, as Prabhupada was sharing. And so that devotee went to Prabhupada to tell Prabhupada that he wanted to leave the association of the devotees. That was a loss, because that was someone that he was serving Prabhupada. He was a Sanskrit scholar or something, serving Prabhupada very closely. And when Prabhupada said to him, okay, can you just wait there was a program that was going to happen. And he said, can you just wait for that program? And then you can go after the program. And so Prabhupada let him go. And this was, Prabhupada's kindness, Prabhupada's mercy. He didn't try to tell that devotee, don't go, don't leave, Prabhupada said, I can understand how you don't accept. I can understand you don't accept what I'm saying about the moon planet. So Prabhupada was very open about the fact that there are losses. We are going to experience losses in this material world. This is, just like the dance, the discussion we're having about the dance. One of the things about people giving their culture, giving up their culture, it's a loss. They may need to work internally with giving that part of themselves away, giving it up. And it may take longer for some people than it does for others, because it is a loss. You know, you've done something for many, many years, your generations have done it. You know, and then now you're taking another tradition, yes, but it doesn't mean that you accept that tradition wholeheartedly in the very beginning. You may want to, however, it may take some time. So a person needs to grieve that loss. So Prabhupada, he definitely grieved the loss of the fact his typewriter was taken. He grieved the loss. He grieved all these losses. And so however, it's a part of it's definitely a part of the human experience. How we grieve is a different thing. I think that's explained in how we grieve the losses that we experience. So it didn't sound to me like, you were happy. It sounded like I got a feeling, I got an emotion that you were satisfied that they had not taken the Lakshmi. I got that there was there is some feelings of, I'm not hearing frustration or disappointment. I didn't even see that on your face. I'm hearing more a feeling of acceptance that, okay, this happened. They did this. And so, as you know, facial expressions, our body language speaks a lot to what our feelings are saying. So I'm guessing there must be, it sounds like there is some disappointment because you're sharing it with us, some disappointment, some feelings of disappointment. However, it doesn't sound like that's affecting you, in a way like it would. And of course, you're a devotee, so it wouldn't affect you the way it would a materialist. A materialist would probably not just have the person go to jail. They probably try to find that person and hurt them or something. You know what I mean? They materialists, they really are attached to whatever it is that they have or what they think they have. So the grieving is different. That's my understanding, and like I was explaining, loss comes in many different ways. So we don't stop to think, oh yes, when I give up my culture, that is a loss. That's a loss. And even though we're supposed to be on the Krishna conscious platform, what we have known for, many lifetimes, maybe, it's not that it's just like, okay, osmosis. I'm just going to give it up. That's called spiritual bypassing.
Hare Krishna, Mother, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so I'm speaking like this because Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita 9:22, Anaya Shintayantamam Yejana Pariyupasate Tisam Nityabhuktanam Yogashima Vahamyaham. Those who worship him exclusively, he preserves what they have and he provides what they lack. So that's why I'm saying Krishna really doesn't really want us losing things. Of course, we accept gain and loss. We have to be equiposed to these things. But when devotees start, becoming so transcendental and things that we acquired for preaching and letting them go, and we think that is transcendental or that is spiritual. That is what I could understand, because Krishna wants to preserve what we have for preaching. Srila Prabhupada fought for the Juhu property. So that is, in that sense, I am actually asking this question, that does Krishna really want to see us losing things? I don't think so. And that is why I, like you rightly described my emotion about this loss. I feel happy because, mixed feeling, sure, a bit of disappointment, but also Krishna preserved what I had. It was a Sunday, I came back to the temple and I preached about it. And devotees were like, wow. So I think the more we glorify Krishna by what he's preserving for us and how we're using what he gives to us, the more he gives faith to people. But then when people see us losing everything we had and we're not protecting them, would people be eager to even want to contribute to our cause? So this is in that line I'm asking this question. Anyway, I don't want to enter into long debate, but thank you for the time you spent. I am sure you understand what I'm saying. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, and
thank
so
you.
I want to just reflect that back to what the question that Kavi Prabhu asked, and I'm going back to the dancing because that was an important question. So it also depends on how we use what Krishna has given us, isn't it? So that's what Kavi is saying. I'm not hearing him say that there's anything inherently wrong with dancing. What I'm hearing him say is, how are we using the dancing to glorify Krishna? And so if people are not being nourished in their Krishna consciousness by how they might be perceiving the way that we're dancing, then that's what's being addressed. How others are, their others' perceptions, right? We may have the intention of really glorifying Krishna by the way we dance. Someone else may not see it like that. So how are we, and that's each individual one of us, how are we utilizing whatever it is that, as you said in that verse, what is that, Ananya Chintayantoma? Those who always worship Krishna with exclusive devotion. So we need to check with ourselves and see, how am I utilizing whatever it is that has been put in my care in exclusive devotion for Krishna? And if I am mixed in some way, then it's important for me to know that about myself, right? That's one of the things about authenticity, is not lying to ourselves. So first it starts with the person themselves, asking those questions. You know, I'm dancing, am I dancing to glorify Krishna? Or is there what I heard was there's perhaps some need for, you know, for being valued, some need for being accepted. Maybe there's some ego that might be there with that. At the same time, we know that in different cultures, people don't accept certain things. So maybe we are a little bit more, I guess, strong in our desire to present that what we have is very wonderful and very beautiful and very great. So how do we use it for Krishna? Is even in that, what we are presenting to someone else, are we in our own consciousness seeing that that thing is purely for Krishna's service? And I believe that's what we're walking, this is the path we're walking, right? Every day. We got to check with ourselves about that. Yes, we can use things fully in Krishna's service. And yes, Krishna doesn't want to take anything away from us, but material life will, material energy will. Now, how do we deal with it? That's important. Varaha, you know all this. You're a guru in your own right. You have a lot of knowledge. My thing is, let's all of us apply this knowledge. That was Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's mood. That's Prabhupada's mood. Prabhupada's done that over and over and over and over again. And let's be honest with ourselves. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mother. Thank you. Thank you for being with us for this long class. And thank you all devotees for your contributions. When Srimad Bharata Prabhuji asked this question, the first thing that came to my crazy mind is back to the text we're describing. Arjuna is very much devastated because of the loss of his dearest friend. And if we accept that Krishna is absolute, then losing Krishna in his form is a loss. Losing any paraphernalia of Krishna is a loss. And so there is a pastime where His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj shared. It's on YouTube, everybody can listen to. It says, he was the only one who was keeping Srila Prabhupada's keys. And Srila Prabhupada had a very special way of keeping stuff. So he will have like maybe 7 keys, but one key is opening to one closet, and that closet will have the key to another thing. And then in that closet, when you open it, there is another key leading to something. So it's very difficult to get to where you want to get something from Srila Prabhupada because there are different keys hidden different places. Why? Because he wants to protect and preserve what Krishna has given him to preach. And so there was a time that Tamal Krishna Maharaj lost the keys. He did not have the keys. And he was afraid of telling Srila Prabhupada that he has lost the keys. So eventually, he had to gather courage to go tell Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I've lost the keys. I cannot find it. So Srila Prabhupada says, oh no. And so they kept looking. And finally, they found the key and they were able to open it, which was different from the keys that Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was having. So he went and told Srila Prabhupada, so Srila Prabhupada, we found another key that we could use to open. Srila Prabhupada says, that is terrible. If you have been able to find another key leading to the locks, that you alone have the key, then it means the lock is of no more use. So Srila Prabhupada ordered that that lock be changed. So the lock was changed. And he told Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, says, now that this lock has been changed, you have the key. The best way to keep the key, take your Brahmin thread and then hang the key on it. It's always on your body. So in all regards, Srila Prabhupada was doing everything humanly possible to make sure that we do not lose anything. So if I understood Sriman Varaprabhu's question clearly, his question pertains to sometimes devotees becoming so careless that if something belongs to Guru, something belongs to Krishna, we don't care. If we lose it, it's transcendental. However, when we have our own car, we do everything possible to make sure that the car does not go bad. We wash the car, we service the car, but when it's for Krishna, we care less because we think somebody else should do. And it's a loss. And if we believe that Krishna is absolute, just as Arjuna is lamenting for losing the physical appearance of Krishna, then anything, any paraphernalia that is in relationship to Krishna, when we lose it, we should lament also. Excuse me, Hare Krishna. Mother, do you have something to say before we go to Kavi Kanapur? And probably that might be the last contribution.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Abu, for going to allow me for the last time.
Yes, we will.
So I hear a lot of different nuances in your response that this topic, Saha. However, yes, I absolutely agree that when we lose anything that is to be in service for Krishna, it is a loss. The question is, how do we process that loss? That's what's important. Losses are inevitable. It's a way of life. And yes, how we process our losses, how do we respond to the losses? How do we accept the losses? Do we accept the losses? Are we going to, how are we going to respond to that? That only we know our capacity of how we deal with losses. Everybody deals with losses differently. As I looked at Varaha, I could tell he was experiencing a loss that I didn't see much of a reflection from his body language. I am sure he must have experienced other losses that probably there would have been a reflection from his body that I could have somehow, perceived. So Yes, how do we deal with our losses? And do we accept? Sometimes Krishna arranges that we would have a loss to help us to grow. If we don't accept that, then we could just stay stuck.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Kavikanapur Prabhu, please unmute, and I believe this may be the last straw for today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And what I want to say is to appreciate Mother the way she's handling the question, very sensitive questions, and Mother is with her expertise in mediating, so she's really, do justice. And one thing, Mother, I want you to, I don't know whether it be possible one day, we should organize some meeting with the leaders, because most of the things we talk is more about the leaders. Even some of us who are talking it here, we don't have any part to play. We just talk because we want to force our mind and heart out, But I think one time with your expertise, you should talk with many of our senior devotees who are the key player in the movement now, because it's very important. And if these movements have to move forward, it will be how they are taking it. And if anything, like for example now, you mentioned about Ganesha Prabhu. Ganesha Prabhu was a temple president in Ghana, but there was some misunderstanding. And that is what led to him leaving the temple presidency to go and start his own organization, and it's becoming successful. If we have tolerated ourselves and and they allow him to use his dynamism in that presidency, maybe by now, or whatever he's enjoying outside there, maybe ISKCON will be enjoying it in terms of preaching in Ghana. And that is one thing. The other thing is, like what Prabhu Sahadev talked about Krishna property. I remember when I was a temple president in Lagos, I have this problem with devotees a lot. When I was temple president in Lagos, I have about 5 cars. Somehow the other, there's one devotee who always like to dash me car. He has a company. I have a lock of that car. Somebody dashing me a car. So he has a company. So anytime there's a car in his company he doesn't want to use, he will dash me. So people in his company, they will be very hungry. Oh, why is this man giving to this man? Is every time giving? We are working here, he's not giving us. So these cars, I have them, and I try to maintain them as my own in the temple there. But many times, devotees, they have problem with me the way I maintain the car. So one particular time, there was what incident that happened. One person wanted them to use that car for something. And I told him this particular car is for the temple president. That is me. So I'm not going to allow it. You can use the other car. And he went and reported to my higher authority that Kavi is personalizing this car. That is his own car. This is. And my higher authority, they call me. They say, Kavi, why are you personalizing the car? That is not your own. It's for Krishna. I say, yes, it's for Krishna, but I have to personalize it so that I can maintain it, so that it will be there for us to use. If I don't personalize it, how will I maintain it like for Krishna? And they have, my authority have problem with that. Say, no, you cannot do that. That is not good. And that day, I left that car. Since that day, I left that car and I don't use it again, because I should not personalize it as a temple president that I need an official car. It's for Krishna, then I don't leave it. Mother, I'm telling you, all those cars I left in that temple, they have sold all because it's for Krishna and nobody need to personalize it in order to maintain it. So these are the problems that are there and we are facing it and it's a reality. So these things, we have to call our leaders and discuss all these things because, we're in 21st century. This has to change. You are not in 1980s again.
Well,
thank you so much, Kavikanapur. I think that's a very nice ending. Mother Raj, please take it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I was 2 things. I hear some of the young people, the younger generation, they say this a lot. I don't know if it's reached Africa yet. I'm sure it has. That the older generation, they're leaving their bodies. So really, you second generation, you are the ones that are really responsible. Even though, there may still be some maybe older generations that's giving some little input right now, but that's just not going to be there in another 5-10 years from now. So given that you are the future leaders of our institution, this is a lesson that I received from Yamuna Devi before she left her body. So I was in Mayapur, myself and Ekavira Prabhu, and she had invited us to a personal program that she was having in Mayapur, and it was Bhakti, it was a reading from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's autobiography, and also we were having kirtan, but she had it by invite only. So Ekavir and I were like privileged to be a part of that gathering. So one night, a couple showed up, and the couple, a man and a woman, they had not been invited. And I have known Yamuna, Mother Yamuna, for being a very loving, caring devotee, someone that I emulate, someone I want to be like her. And that particular night, she told that couple, I'm sorry, we have no space for you to come in to this program. We have no space. And I was a little bit shocked because I always know her to be very inclusive, extremely inclusive. And she kept making that point to the couple, because the couple was saying, oh, but we have this little girl, which was the daughter of one of their close friends. And so Yamuna said, well, the little girl can stay, but we have no room for like adults. And so then Dina Tarne, which is an associate of Yamuna, she said, well, maybe they can go on the veranda. And Yamuna said, no, there's no room on the veranda either. So what happened is that couple left, and I was sitting there, the most uncomfortable person ever in that assembly of devotees, because my nature is also to want to be inclusive and to be kind and speak, sweet words and kind words. I was just really shocked by Mother Yamuna being in this mood. So the next day I came to see her because the program got ended late and, associated, whatever. The next day I came to see her because I wanted to understand. So this goes to your point of speaking to the leaders. So I went to her to understand why she behaved that way, because I didn't get it. And she looked at me and she said, devotees in ISKCON, they have this issue of being entitled. They fall into this trap of entitlement. And that couple, especially the wife, was thinking she was entitled to being there. And I wanted to teach her a lesson. So my answer to your question is to go inside of yourself first to see how entitled do you think you are, and then address your leaders. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. You've been with us for almost 3 hours, 3 good hours. Unbelievable. I don't think it's ever happened on this platform. And devotees are still here, listening, watching. So that tells it all how interesting your class is.
Well, Saha, I just want to say this one last thing.
Okay.
Our work is external, but mostly internal. Mostly internal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Salika, do you have something to say? Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Yeah, we are saying till now because we see mother's section as a therapy.
I believe you. It is a therapy. It's a therapy to cleansen the heart and the mind. I'm just praying and hoping that we can take this therapy, borrowing Kavikana Prabhu's phrase or word, that we actually use this therapy to our own advantage. Salika Prabhu, you have something to conclude on before we...
I think we should allow Mother to go, and rest. It's been 3 good hours plus.
Yes.
We'll leave it for some other day. We're still going to have in a couple of days, so I think we
Yes.
should postpone other talk to them.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. So, devotees, again, we thank you all, and we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute so that we can do our routine ritual by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra so loudly. Yay! Hare Krishna!
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna!
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna!
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Rama, Rama, Hare. Nitaram, Pavana Vishnu, Vaishnavi,
Thank you very much, Mother.
Namaha.
Hare Krishna.